everybody, welcome to Drive Thru Review 152. Today I'm going to talk about Merchant of Venus. This is the second edition, a reprint by Fantasy Flight Games. The game originally came out in like 1988, I think. And it comes with two separate rule sets. It has the classic rule set of the 1988 game with some small tweaks, and then it's got a whole brand new rule set developed by Fantasy Flight. Now, I've only played the classic game, so this is going to be a classic game review. I never played it, when I was a kid or anything like that. I did play a game called Solar Quest when I was a kid, and this actually kind of reminds me a lot of that. Now, Solar Quest is sort of a space-themed Monopoly, and it has a lot of the trappings or tropes of Monopoly. This game doesn't have any of that at all. But it's a really thick box. I don't know if you can tell that from your perspective there. But I quite enjoy the game. I'm going to review a little bit before I talk about it. I was actually surprised that I liked it so much. I actually got this in a trade. It didn't feel like ponying up the cash for it. I just wasn't real sure about it because it's a roll and move game, but yet it's been highly talked about. And Eric Sommer, if you watch the Dice Tower or listen to the Dice Tower, he's like he's a nut about the game. And I can see why, actually. It's a very, very interesting game. It has a lot of things in it that I've never really seen any games do, since they came out. So, I mean, it just does a lot of really interesting things. And the roll and move is actually really cool. And then it's basically about, you're flying around the galaxy or the solar system or whatever and trying to visit new alien worlds and kind of discover which aliens live there, what kind of goods that they want, and basically some aliens sell this type of good that's going to be available to these other aliens. So you got to kind of race around and find your markets, and also deal with upgrading your ship. So you're going to fly around, you're going to get different drives that will let you skip over different spaces on the board, make you travel faster and safer, because some of the spaces on the board are hazards. And you've got to manage different types of ships. You can get ships with bigger cargo holds that let you roll less dice when you move, and different things like that. So let me give you a somewhat quick overview of how it works and come back and tell you more what I think. Okay, so I've got the game loosely set up here. I've got it on the classic side of the board. There are two different sides of the board depending on how you're going to play the game. Each player is going to get a little plastic ship here, and these are pretty cool. They do the job. You're going to start on the starting base here, and then, as I said, you're going to be traveling to these different systems here. So you can see you've got some links between various systems here, but then most of the systems are going to consist of a little world here, and then you're going to put a card face down, and this is going to tell you which alien race inhabits that system. So it's going to vary, game to game. You've also got some real interesting systems here, like this is your asteroid system here. There's a lot of hazards in here, a lot of different sort of terrain you've got to go through, and there's just a variety of worlds. There's a supergiant here, which will help you get, from place to place, but you've got to deal with a lot of hazards there. So the board isn't too big. It's a relatively large-sized board, but you're going to have a lot of pieces out here, more than I have room to sort of show you in an overall setup. But I'm just going to, if you forgive me here, take the camera and just sort of move around a little bit. So you got the board there. I've got a ton of pieces and dials and things in here that aren't used in the classic game. All kinds of tokens underneath there and there. These tokens are all used to populate the different worlds here. I don't have all those set up. Tons of money. You've got the different ships here, which I'll talk about in a second. Just a ton of stuff all over the place. I mean, we've got passengers and demand tokens there. All kinds of good stuff. So first thing to look at here are these ship aids or ship sheets. So this is going to tell you the kind of ship you have. Each player gets two sheets. They're double-sided. And so you're going to start with a scout, and then you may later upgrade it to a freighter here. This is going to tell you how many dice you roll on your turn, as well as how much cargo you have. And you can see each cargo basically has 2 little pips worth of storage that it can have. So you can have 2 pips worth of stuff. So this guy rolls 2 dice, has a ton of cargo space, where the scout rolls 3 dice, only has 2 cargo space. You've got a space here for your navigation die, space for shields. We'll talk about those in a minute. And then it's got sort of a cheat sheet, sort of a cost breakdown. Different alien races are going to have different technology that they can do. So if you uncover an alien race that has this as their technology icon, you can buy a red drive here for this amount. And then this breaks it down. It's the same on all the sheets. And then you can see it costs this much to buy this. If you're going to trade it in maybe for another ship, you're going to get that much value back. So these are really handy to have. It really makes some of the more iconographic, obtuse stuff really quickly accessible. I really like this stuff. Oh, I almost forgot. It also shows you your home culture here. So when you discover this culture here, and this is denoted by a little symbol and a number like all the alien cultures are, you can see that you can get spaceports and factories for a little bit cheaper, and that's quite nice. So first thing you're going to do on your turn is you're going to pick which way you're going to head. You're going to go, maybe I say I'm going to go this way, or go, up this way like so. Pick my heading, then I'm going to roll the number of dice equal to the speed of my ship, and I'm going to roll that, and that's going to be my maximum allowable movement for the turn. Now you can see there's different colored spaces on the board, and each of these is going to basically cost 1 movement point if there's a gray line in between them, whether it's dashed or solid. The dashed lines are basically routes that are in between systems here. So you've got this system here with a solid gray line and this one over here. So any space that's on the axis of the solid line is considered part of that system. Any dashed ones are not. So it's going to cost you 1 movement point to move along these. Any of the green lines here is going to cost you 2 movement points. So if you want to move down to this planet to do some trading and other activities, it's going to cost you 2 movement points. So you got to move along. You basically have to spend all your movement points or stop on a planet or on an asteroid here. See if we can get an asteroid. There's an asteroid there. You're allowed to stop on those prematurely, or a station, a space station like this. And then if you land on the planet here, you can reveal this to everybody. Keep this card, and this is basically like making first contact with the system. At the beginning of the game, you really want to do is try to figure out where everybody is, and then start to make your planning kind of midway through the game. Now once you get this card, you put this in front of you, and you have basically $80 worth of credit with this race. So any of your actions that you're dealing with them, buying and selling goods or whatever, you're going to have 80 bucks that you can spend. So when you go to spend this, you turn the card in and you can use 80 bucks. Now that's kind of an all or nothing thing. You don't get change or anything like that. So you want to use that during one of your transactions. Once you reveal an alien race, you're going to go over here to the left side of the board, and I don't have these set up like so, but you can see here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. So there's going to be tokens over here to the left that are set up at the beginning of the game, and when you reveal the race, if we zoom in over here like so, you're going to grab the tokens that match the number on the race there, and then you're going to set them here. So there's a few kinds of tokens you're going to put out here. You're going to put out this little token identifying the alien race and also the technologies that they deal in. So if you look back over here on your cheat sheet here, you can see, okay, you can buy shields from these guys for 60 bucks each, and I'll explain what shields are in a minute. So that little icon is going to give you an idea what kind of stuff they barter in. Also, you're going to have a stack of goods here. These are all the same. Basically, what this tells you is you can buy one of these for 80 bucks, and then you can go and sell it to the alien races 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1 is always going to sell to 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 is going to sell to 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. Then there's a special factory good here, and there's only one of these, and you can see there's a little factory token here. So when a player builds a factory here, they're going to pay the amount indicated there, in this case 100. They're going to keep this in front of them, and they're going to put a marker of their color here. So the orange player will take this, put that marker there, and then now this is available to buy by anybody. So they're going to keep this in front of them. This is going to count towards their income at the end of the game. So they basically locked in 100 bucks here. So now when somebody comes and buys this, even if it's the player that owns it, they're going to get a 50% cut of purchasing that good from that factory. And then when you get to a race that's going to sell it, so you're going to buy it from here and then go and sell it to 2, 3, 4, 5, you're going to take a look at this amount in the middle and sell it for that much. So you're going to buy these for 80 and then sell it for 140. Now the green and reds are used in the the new game, so you can ignore those in this case. So if you move here and then you land on this space like so, on that turn that you move there, that you just got there, you can do 1 buy and 1 sell. Otherwise, if you forego your movement on the next turn, you can make as many buys and sells as you want. So in a real basic sense, that's what you're going to do. You're going to roll to move, get to systems, try to reveal who's where, buy and sell, get upgrades for your ship, try to make first contact and get the card so that you can get cheaper deals with that civilization. And then you're going to play to a fixed dollar amount. So based on the number of players, you'll start with a different amount of money. Typically the standard game is you play to 2,000 credits. You can play a shorter game for 1,000 or a longer game or whatever you feel like playing. So that's very, very simple. Let me just go over a couple more sort of details about moving around the board, what some of the different colored spaces mean, the different hazards that you're going to run into, some of the different technologies you can get. So one real quick but very important thing about buying and selling these goods. So when you, let's say you sell a couple of goods, you're going to put them into a cup here. And there's going to be a lot more tokens in the cup to start the game. You've got a whole mess of these demand tokens and passenger tokens. So anytime you sell something, you're going to draw basically that many back out. So if we take a look at some of these, let's take a look at a demand token here. So this one here. So we've got glorious junk like so here. So if you take a look at that, let's see if we can get that to focus, please. There we go, glorious junk. So this is the alien race that wants to buy glorious junk. So they're number 4. So you really want to try to sell to them specifically. Remember, you can sell to 4 different alien races, but this one now is going to give you a bump of 60 bucks. So if you had 2 of these, for example, when you sold it, you get a bump of 120, one for each. But then when you sell, you're going to put the good in the cup, and then you only put 1 of these in there. So there'll still be 1 left. So it'll still have a higher demand for it. So you really want to race around and try to set yourself up to make big sales and get that much more profit, because again you're trying to get to $2,000 quicker. The other thing that will happen in here are these passenger tokens, and you can pick these up and basically pick them up for free. You just need this much cargo space. So you need 1 pip in one of your storages, and then you can drop them off, and then you get that amount. So let me just go over quickly a couple of different spaces on the board here. And again, you can see the different colored spaces like so. So you can see you got a blue and a yellow here, but then you've got a red and a blue here, and these got some numbers on them. So let me zoom in here real quick. Now if you take a look at these here, you're going to be moving along at 1 movement point per space, unless you have a drive like this. So if you've got a red drive, you can actually skip any red spaces, which not only will let you move around the board quicker, but it'll let you skip over these hazard spaces that are red. Now every time you hit a hazard space, you basically have to pay that much money to go through there. And if you don't have enough money, you're going to have to stop and then wait for your next turn. So going through here is going to cost you a fair bit of change, especially early on, until you get some drives where you can skip over. Now the other thing you can get are shields here. And these will actually reduce the cost of hazard spaces by 20 bucks. So these you're going to be okay with, because these are only 10 bucks a pop. But if you look over here, you see these are 30, and there's some 40s and stuff like that. So you want to get a shield. Now you can get more than 1 shield. If you take a look at your sheet here, you can put 1 shield there, but you can also store them in some of these cargo spaces. So if you get a bigger ship, you're going to be moving a little bit slower, but you can pack some shields in there along with your other cargo to help you move around. The other tokens here, and you're going to set these out at the beginning of the game, are these green spaces here with these space ports like so. And these cost 200 bucks, and then you can put 1 of your space ports of your color here like that. So you can actually buy and sell on the spaceport. You don't have to be directly on the planet. And again, these are going to count towards your total. So you're going to count your cash on hand plus any spaceports or factories you've built. So you got to remember to include those in your total. The other spaces here, you can see there are these encounter spaces. And to start the game, you're going to seed the board with these encounter tokens like here. And so any of these can be just about anything here. So you can see you've got a hazard there. You've got these telegate tokens, which I'll talk about in just a second. And you've also got some relics here. So these relics, you can either keep them for the special ability. See, this is an autopilot. Or you can barter it for, you can see this one costs 80. So you can trade that in if you're trying to buy something. And there is a fair amount of these here, and these are all explained here. They do all kinds of things, like this one's a yellow drive, but it doesn't take up any room. There's all kinds of different things. Some stuff for interacting with the telegates and things like that. I'm not going to go into this in too much detail. So let's talk quickly about a couple of key navigation issues here. You can see you've got here a telegate right there and a navigation space here. Now remember when I talked about earlier here, you have a spot for your navigation die here. Now when you roll your dice here, you always have to set one aside and basically mark it as this is the navigation die you're going to use. So you kind of lock this die in. Now sometimes when you're moving around it won't be important, so it's not that big a deal. But if you're going to run into either a navigation space or a telegate, then you need to lock that in before you move into that space. Now the navigation spaces are kind of hairy. They're pretty interesting. So basically, like I said, you have to move the full movement of your dice. So you need to be careful here. So if I had locked in, let's say a 3 for my navigation dice, and I was coming in this way, basically what that means is when I hit this navigation space, I have to go out the side that has a 3 on it. So you can see if I come in this way, you can go out this way with a 3, and then a 4, 5, or 6 will take you out this way. But if I was trying to get up to here or something, let's say, then I'd want to do the 3. So the 3 locks me in, then I'm going to go up to here, and then I've got 1 and 6 coming back this way. You can never go backwards, so if I had put a 1, I'm just not going to send me backwards. Now, if that's the case, you're just going to stop there. But so if I had the 3, I'd come in here, be forced out this way with the 3, and then come up here and be forced out this way, and come up here and be forced out this way. So you can really kind of get, jerked around a little bit if you're not too careful. With your navigation die with these navigation spaces. It's cool though, it's kind of interesting, and it's sort of like the perils of space travel. It's kind of neat. Now telegates are even possibly more hairy, but you can also use them to your benefit as well. So you can see this one is a 5, and there's different numbers 1 through 6. So if I hit this one here, and I had set my navigation to, let's say, a 4, and there was a 4 telegate somewhere on the board, I would immediately travel wherever that was on the board, and I'd come out that side. So you could basically, teleport somewhere you don't really want to go, or it can really help you jump from, one culture to another very, very quickly, and, make some money very quickly. And that's pretty much the gist of the game. I know I probably left out a couple of things, but that's pretty much the idea of the game. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the overview. Like I said, I think at the beginning I was really surprised how much I enjoyed this game. I was a little bit leery just because it's like roll and move, and I was like, like nightmares of childhood gaming with roll and move. And I also, like I said, I played a game called Solar Quest, which is just horrible. It's awful. I mean, I loved it when I was a kid, but I picked it up about a year ago just to see, like, why did I like this so much? And it was just, it's worse than Monopoly. But we're not reviewing Solar Quest today. This is really, really, really fun. It's like at the beginning of the game, you're kind of like flying around, you don't really know what you're doing, you kind of be a little bit careful because you don't have any drives, you don't have any shields, you just got a little bitty cargo, you don't really have a lot of money either, so you've got to fly around and hopefully find some of the cheaper races so you can buy a couple of goods and then get them to the other ones, because some of the races, very expensive goods. So you're kind of flying around, taking your time. You're kind of avoiding the shortcuts, which are the, like the supernova and the asteroid belt and that center one with all those crazy navigation spaces. You got to really kind of avoid those. But then when you get, some goods come out, you can kind of see everybody's got kind of a target. Like, okay, I'm going to go here and grab these and take these here. Maybe you've upgraded your ship, and you got a lot more cargo, and then some of those demand tiles and the passengers come out, so you got some really juicy deals, and you got to think like, okay, can I get over to there before Billy gets over there, or whatever, so it becomes, then like the race kicks in, you're like flying all over the place and somewhat at the mercy of the dice, but not really. I never really seemed to get, that hosed by it. I mean, sometimes you'd have some kind of diversion or something, but it could kind of hurt you, but I don't know, it's fun to me where you're kind of flying around and you're flying through space, so that kind of fits the whole thing. I quite enjoy the game. So, and it's going to play out differently too, because the different races and the cultures, they're going to be in different areas and sort of different sort of hazard zones, based how you lay them out. So if you get some of those cheap ones in like the super hazardy areas, then it's going to be quite a bit different than if they're spread out differently. So that's really cool. Like I said, I looked at the rules of the new stuff. It's pretty much the same. You roll and move and fly around and discover cultures. There's a lot of sort of chrome and sort of market things that can swing the prices and things. So I think I may enjoy that, but it adds a lot of this sort of extra stuff on it, right? And to me, the game, I'm still kind of processing, the basic game. So, but anyway, just like, I know like other people have reviewed it that played the game before and they really liked the game anyway, but as somebody that never played it and probably didn't think you would like it, I really enjoyed it. I'd highly recommend just pick it up for the classic game. And I really like the look of the board, and the components are real, thick, high quality stuff, so it looks neat on the table. But yeah, so there you go. That's Merchant of Venus, and excellent, excellent game. Thanks.